Hi, I'm Ayers, and today we've got something special for you. I was on YouTube the other day and I was just like, okay, let's look at some videos about some cameras and blah, blah, blah. And I left a comment on this channel, you know, just like, oh, great video, dude, blah, blah, blah. He was talking about a Fuji camera. And then the dude, Cris, messages me on Facebook. Turns out we're already friends on Facebook. He was like, oh, you know, what do you want to know about Fuji? I'm like, dude, we know each other. We know each other. Then it turns out I know his brother. So blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it was sort of like a best friend sort of a thing. And Cris is, he's an awesome Fuji and Leica camera user. And he has a great YouTube channel. And today we are going to have an impromptu interview with each other. Photographer interviewing a photographer. Okay, and we've created separate questions which the other person does not know about, and we're just going to ask them, and we're just going to see what happens and see where it goes and have this conversation just as photographers having fun, and I hope you enjoy. All right, Cris, awesome to see you, bro. Now we have some, so we have some questions that we've prepared for each other that the other person doesn't know about. And
mystery questions.
Yes, exactly, mystery questions. All right, Cris, you go first, man.
So, what brand of camera do you use to take photos and why?
When I first started, I was like a Canon boy. It's like Canon was my thing. I then got a Fuji, the super old XE1. And I used that one for actually product photography because I noticed it was just so sharp. That Fuji sensor is so crazy good for that sort of a thing. So I use that for products. I kept hanging around some people and they kept having these Nikon cameras. And I was like, what's this Nikon all about, you know? And I was just looking at the bodies and they were like, oh, it's very interesting. And I was like, oh, they have a button here and Canon doesn't? Oh, that's interesting. Anyway, I eventually changed and I converted my religion to Nikon. And today I shoot nothing but Nikon, but I'm open to everything else. And honestly, I have in my dreams right now, Fuji, a bit of Fuji, which is very funny. And how we met Cris was because I was searching for Fuji reviews and blah, blah, blah. And here we are now. So yes, there you go. All right, Cris, let me throw a question at you, bro.
Go for it.
All right, this one's quite deep and meaningful. What made you want to become a photographer in the first place?
I think being a photographer is communicating. That's basically what it is, like art. It's just making art, making memories, making something for the future, communicating something to others, and just showing, like having 1,000 words into one image. And that to me was crazy good, crazy insane. And yeah, I think and then you can develop into a lot of things, but those are the basic reasons why I think photography is great, using the light for that purpose. What do you think about autofocus?
Did you watch my video on autofocus?
No, I haven't. No, guilty as charged.
I made a video on autofocus.
Yeah, but you know,
Yeah, well, good question. I mean,
what are your thoughts?
Autofocus is great. I love autofocus in my cameras. But I like it when it's just the simple standard, you know, there's the middle box in your viewfinder. You put that box on what you want it to focus on, and then you half press your shutter or whatever, and it focuses on that. I don't like this whole world that the cameras have gotten into with all this research and development where it's kind of like, you know, oh, this camera can track the cat as it goes across the frame.
That's cool. I was asking you that question because I realized not so long ago, a few weeks back, that I'm a little bit of an old school kind of shooter where, like you say, you know, you focus on something in the middle, you got your focus, and then you reframe and you take your shot. Like you're saying, like this whole tracking feature, it's cool for video, I think, in some cases, like for vlogging or when you're doing YouTube videos. But when you have to take photos, you have to take photos. Otherwise, like the camera doing it for you, it's weird, you know? So it's cool. It's interesting. I don't know if you ever tried a Leica M series, but if you didn't, you should try one. You're gonna love it.
Dude, oh, hey, I want to tell you something. I've never said this to anyone. I'm about to tell it to you. I have a confession to make.
Mm-hmm.
I have never in my life even touched a Leica camera.
Oh, wow. Cool, man.
I've seen them and I'm like, yes, someday I will have one. But dude, you know, when I met you and you're just like, oh, I get them, you know, you're in touch with Leica and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I need to come to your house at some point.
I'm making my life purpose and mission to get you to try a Leica camera over my dead body. We're doing this.
Yes, please. Now on your channel, you know, you're big Fuji guy, big Leica guy, of course. Why? Why are you attracted to the Fuji and the Leica systems, you know, and especially sort of, you know, there's the rangefinder styles. Why is it for you that you like that? I'm a DSLR guy and I've preached that for a while. I'm not saying I'll never change, but you know, what is it for you?
Well, because of the size, that was the reason why I went from mirror cameras to mirrorless cameras. The reason for that is because of the ergonomics, the fact that you have the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture on the lenses right there and there. You see your exposure triangle, and you can do all your settings yourself, and you can really understand how you're making the photo rather than taking a photo. That's really a difference to me, because you take Sony. I love Sony. They're amazing. They make the sensors for Fuji. You know what I'm saying? So they're great, but they're too sharp, and that sharpness annoys me. I want something that conveys emotions, and Fuji has that film, those simulations that you can. I mean, I play a lot with the raw files, but they have that blur, that motion blur sometimes that is just cool, you know. And Leica is the same thing. It has a tradition. It costs a lot of money, but the lenses are sharp. But when you miss that focus, sometimes it happens in manual mode. The photo is not trash. Sometimes it really becomes a great photo because it captures that moment in someone's life. And those two brands are just, I mean, a Canon is just, there's all those buttons I don't understand. Fuji is just the basics, you know. You have your thing there and that's it. You want to change the aperture, just turn a wheel and, you know, and off you go.
Oh yeah, no.
That's basically the reason.
I love that.
Tell me one quote relating to photography that you live by.
I go back to the fact that the word photography means light writing. You're writing with light. So, and this is when I was teaching myself how to, you know, take photos and stuff, I would just think with that. I was like, okay, it's you know, I don't have the best camera, you know, I don't have the best anything, but if I could get good at, you know, the angle of the light, the quality of the light, whether it's hard or soft, and just really like practice and observe and look at other photos and try that same thing myself and watch films and see how others use this lighting. And once I'd done enough of that, you know, it's kind of like, you know, I had this epiphany and I was just kind of like, wow, it's the light.
Personally, my quote is the best camera is the one you have on you.
Oh yes.
But even your cell phone, you know, in on a pinch, like when you need to take that photo, you have your cell phone, and sometimes you're like, oh shit, if I would have, well, you have your cell phone, you know, and I think, okay, I have my cell phone. Let's, like you said, let's see how we can set it up so that, you know, it looks good, and so it kind of goes along with what you're saying. It's really cool, I think.
Okay, so if you just had to pick one model of camera, what would it be?
Holy shit, that's a tough one.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's hard. Narrowing down the lens is hard. Narrowing down the camera it's even harder. I think I would go for either the Leica Q2, or Q2 monochrome, or the Fuji X100 series 100V, because those have a prime 35mm full frame equivalent, so 23 on the APS-C, and it's just like that everyday life, do it all type of lens. It's in between. It's not too wide, not too narrow. It's just great. And then the camera is so pocketable, so compact, so small. It's not cumbersome. You can just bring it with you anywhere, anytime, and it works great. It has great files quality, great images. They're sharp. Wide aperture, f2 and f1.7 on the Leica. I mean, I would go for that. Honestly, that'd be my choice.
Oh yeah, that's good. Oh what? And then I suppose I had this as another question, but what's the lens you would have? Would it be the 35?
Either 35 or maybe 50. 50, nifty 50. I like that little 50.
Nifty 50,
yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
But yeah, 35 or 50, we're there.
But, so for me, if it was just one lens, I would choose the 50. But that's saying if it's on a full frame. Obviously, if you're on a crop frame like a Fuji, you'd get something like the 35mm. So then when it crops in, you get about a 50 sort of a thing. Yeah. What's been the most important lesson you've learnt as a pro photographer?
Make sure you have an SD card in your camera.
Yes.
Charge your batteries. You know those dumb things? I think light.
light.
And that's a lesson that I keep learning every single day. Learn light. Learn how to lit up your scene. Learn how to use light, hard light, soft light, bounce light, big diffusers, small diffusers, how to work with any source of light, how to direct light. I mean, this is so... Who cares the camera you use, really? That's really the lesson. Who cares what lens, what camera? What matters is the light. So I join you on that point, and I think as a pro photographer, that's all that matters. Really, that's it.
I'm a big advocate of your skills being more important than your equipment and this sort of a thing. Tell me your thoughts on this one.
I think this is a double-edged sword.
Yes.
Because we hear a lot of having that gas syndrome, the gear acquisition syndrome, where you have to buy all these cool things and oh my god, this. I mean, I don't buy things anymore. Okay, I get things for free. Just showing off here. No, but I for a long time I was like, oh, I need cine lenses, so I got a company to send me a set of 5, and I had all the focal lengths of with the T15, and there was all this. Oh my god. Wow. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna shoot a short, and I was like, okay, I need the lights now. Oh, I need actors. Oh, I need to write a script. Oh, so it's not about having just the gear. I think the gear goes along with your skills, and the more you learn, the more you will be eager to learn more and to have more gear that will help you improve and get better results.
I make a lot of videos where I'm just like, it's not about the gear, blah, 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 blah. But the actual point I'm making here is that, professional, high-end, expensive gear, it exists for an exact purpose, when you have a professional who really understands how to get the most out of it, then actually I have no problem that someone, goes out, oh, buy this lens, buy that one, blah, 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 because they will know how to get the most out of it. What my gripe is that from what I see, when, say, someone's just starting photography and wants to learn, and then the marketing or, the popular opinions out there are all saying to him that, no, you need this, $3,000 top of the line camera when you're first starting. And I'm just like, no, you don't.
Based on your opinion, what makes a great photographer?
There's no real secret to it. It's just like, first of all, make sure you have the right basics. You're taught the right basics, the stuff that really matters. Like, I'm not talking about, your face tracking setting and what your image quality is set on. I'm talking about the basics, like what shutter speed is and what it does, aperture, what ISO is. Clarify all these words, so that you understand. And then you just practice and you keep practicing. And literally, you will learn things that school or a course cannot teach you. But you just keep learning and you gather this experience, and then literally, however, there's no set runway for how long it takes to become, a master, I guess, at it.
That's cool. And then where can you go to learn those basics?
Well, courses are available. I have a course. There's,
Oh, okay.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I teach courses.
So how's that course? Tell us more about that.
Oh, okay, fine. So a couple years back, I had enough people asking me questions about how to take photos and blah, 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 that I decided, I'll make a course, fine. And I sat down and I recorded it, and it's just me being real. And so I taught and recorded this course as if I'm just, your neighbor or some friend. It's very informal. It's not like any other courses out there, because I'm just like, just fucking do it, okay? It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
This sort of a thing. And
awesome.
it's become a popular thing. So if anyone wants just some real talk and a teacher that's just gonna listen to you and have, unlimited, aside from the course, it's just kind of like, there's unlimited correspondence between me and the students, and you ask whatever questions you want and I'll continue to help you.
I'll put the link down below in the comment section so you guys can go check it out.
I appreciate
I think
that.
it's great. The first 2 lessons are free, I think.
Yes,
so
you can have free,
nothing
actually,
to lose.
no problem.
Go check it out. That brings me to my next question, which was kind of answered with your last answer, but why do you swear so much in your videos?
Well, look, listen. I believe that when you want to communicate something to someone and you want them to take you seriously, you've got to say it it's just being yourself, It's kind of like, why does Quentin Tarantino, swear his head off in his films and have all this bloodshed and stuff? It's kind of like, well, that's who the guy is, You watch his films and
brought the master into this.
Either you're going to like him or you're going to hate him. But at least he's being who he is.
I love that guy. Oh, man.
That's
He's one of the best. Jesus, I love his movies.
Yeah,
That's so cool that you bring him up.
What would your dream camera be which doesn't currently exist? Like, what features would it have? What would you really want in the ideal camera for you?
That's a good it's a good question. Oh man, I don't know that I think my dream camera exists. I think we pretty much reached the point already? Where I do. Good. Because look, we can't really improve the shutter speed. I mean, we go up to 1/30,000th of a second. I mean, in terms of ISO, like the Sony A7 IV has a base ISO of 16,000, and my A7S III I'm shooting on is 12,800 as a native ISO. You can't really beat that. I mean, you could, but whatever. It's very technical. And then in terms of aperture, I use lenses that go under f1.
The reason I asked this question is I actually had this thought earlier today. Actually, a camera which doesn't exist, but I would buy this if this existed. I'm talking like, okay, so you have like a film SLR camera, right? Like those Canon programs or the old Nikon F, these sorts of things, right? And it's like the small bodies, like a Fuji, whatever. I would like one of those, right? And it's digital, but it literally just has as many features as that would. As in, you've got shutter, you've got, your aperture, blah, blah, blah. And when it takes a photo, man, it takes a photo. Like there's no menu, there's no, there's none of this claptrap. It's kind of like, okay, it takes a good quality digital photo, but it's like beautiful. It's like, it could look identical to it almost. And if something came along like that.
Do you care for, I stop you right there. Do you care for the autofocus or manual focus? Would you like it to be manual or autofocus?
I hadn't thought that far.
Do you care about that?
I hadn't thought that far, but actually I wouldn't be picky. If it's manual, so be it.
Good. So after the interview, go check the Leica M10D. So it's fully manual. With the lenses even from the 50s, you can put whatever lens on there because it's compatible, reverse compatible. And there's no monitor in the back. There's only a wheel that shows you the ISO. And it's fully digital. The only way for you to see the photos is to connect to your phone. You could, I would not do that, or otherwise to just go home and check them out on your computer. And it's digital.
Wow. Oh, that's cool.
Go check it out.
As I was learning originally, and I was like, looking at the marketing and saying, oh, that's I need this camera because that's going to get me the shot. And then I had this reoccurring situation happen where I would buy, the latest and greatest brand new camera, right? And then I would see on the internet some amazing photo that, someone else had taken, and I'm like, whoa, that is incredible. That is the photo that I want to take. And then I look at what camera they used or what lens, and they'd literally use the thing that I just sold and just passed off as, that's too old, it doesn't do, this sort of a thing.
There you go.
So this is the sort of thing where I was like, I started to get the hint that, okay, it must be more of the skill rather than, the gear you've got in this sort of a thing.
So I checked some of your shorts. By the way, they're amazing. I'm gonna link the one you sent me, which is Parallel, it's called.
Oh, yes. Is
that right?
Thank you.
There you go. So I'm going to link it down below. You guys can go check it out. It's really cool. Got some awards, by the way. So my question is this. Where do you get your inspiration when you shoot a short and when you direct it? Like, where does it come from? Do you have some producer that you like the most, or does it come from yourself, or like where do you get it from, those ideas?
Where do I get it from? Well, actually, ever since I've been a kid, I've done one thing constantly, and that's I go for walks. And when I go for walks, I just listen to music. Music is what inspires me a lot of the time, actually. I can take the emotion that I get from the music, and then I start to get visual interpretations of it, and this sort of a thing. And it's kind of like, I can take a piece of music and I can start to create the image of how that music would look. It's very interesting.
It's funny that you talk about the walks, because if I remember right, I have a pretty good memory, but on the parallel short that you did, doesn't he talk about going for a walk at some point? Isn't there, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, there you go. So
yeah. You do lots of reviews on different cameras and blah blah blah. I'm interested. What camera and or lens, what would you recommend to a first-time photographer? You know, like people ask you, you know, okay, so realistically, what do you think would be the best camera for a beginner to start with?
I would say the best brand for a beginner is Fuji.
No kidding.
I didn't say Leica. Notice
Okay,
I didn't
fine,
say
fine,
Leica.
yes.
You could go for Leica if you have some money and you can actually afford it. But I would go for Fuji because it's not that expensive. I would go for a second-hand Fuji, a model like the one I have right here, the XT2. That's totally fine. Or XT1 or the XE1. I think you mentioned earlier. Some camera that shows you those settings that we spoke about in that exposure triangle. And Fuji is the best brand, the only brand that does that. There was Olympus before, but then they don't exist anymore. So Fuji remains the top to learn the basics. And even for the experienced pro photographer, it's great. So I would just go for Fuji, pick a Fuji, an XT30 or an XT20 or an XT2, XT1, XE4, XE3. I mean, yeah, you name it.
That is actually a good point. I hadn't actually thought about that. But yes, of course, like the Fuji has the physical controls on it, which you can see, you know? So as you're learning, it's kind of like, okay, change the shutter speed. Okay, you can literally see the shutter speed and all the digits on it and all this kind of stuff. It makes sense, man. You know, as a learner, yes, it gives you a better understanding of how it all works together. Yeah, good. Okay, Chris, good, bro. So this has been a great talk. Is there anything else you want to cover?
No, that's it. I think we covered pretty much everything.
It was an amazing chance that we ran into each other, and you know, he's great, and you know, if you want to learn anything about Fuji and Leica, he's the dude to be following. So go for it. And yeah, Chris, thanks so much for talking to me, bro. It was fun.
Well, thank you. And then yeah, let's talk soon.
Okay, brilliant. See you, man.